What is going on, everybody? It is I, Fonz DeFalco, host of Four Corners here at Review and Preview. No, I just don't talk pro wrestling. I also am a big fan of football, the NFL, and I love the NFL draft. Now, if you see the channel lately, you see that we're gearing up towards the draft. We're very excited for it. This quarterback class is very, very interesting. I want to talk about one specific quarterback who I have my eye on, and I'm a huge fan of him heading into this draft. That's Hendon Hooker. As you know, Hooker, he's a redshirt senior for the University of Tennessee Volunteers. He's one of the older prospects into this draft, and he has a very interesting case heading into the draft on where he's going, so I want to talk a little bit about him. His final season at Tennessee was really, really good with 3,135 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. And to top that off, he had 430 rushing yards to go along with 5 touchdowns, so he's a good dual-threat quarterback. But we know the big story with Hooker, he unfortunately tore his ACL in a non-contact injury in the fourth quarter against South Carolina, and that ended his season, and it pummeled his draft stock quite a bit. But regardless of all that, he did end up winning SEC Offensive Player of the Year honors and was a first-team All-SEC selection. You know, with the SEC, one of the more powerful conferences in all of college football, to have him as the Offensive Player of the Year and a first-team selection at one of the most important positions in all of football, there's something about that. And it was such an unfortunate timing with that ACL injury because he was in the Heisman conversation. He had a great career and a great final season with Tennessee. His draft stock was rising up from game 1 from this past season. Obviously, he didn't do anything at the combine. He did do stuff at the pro day, some little throws here and there, but his official height at 6'3" and 217 pounds. It's a big body quarterback with a lot of potential. But looking at film from him and then seeing the past games he's done from his past career years at Tennessee, there's a lot of good strengths for Hooker heading into the draft. Previously mentioned 6'3" height is a good combination of a pocket presence and also dual threat when called upon. And he's not like a lot of other mobile quarterbacks. If he needs to run, he will, but that's not his first thing that he has to do. And with his ability to stay in the pocket when needed, he allows the receivers to develop nice routes and to get that perfect throw. As far as the other quarterback prospects heading to this draft, his footwork is probably the best out of all of them, I would have to say. He doesn't do all these flashy, high-powered throws. He kind of does, he yields back a little bit. He waits for the receivers to develop into nice routes and throws a nice, clean spiral to any of the receivers for Tennessee. He's really good with that. And with good patience and pocket presence, that's very key, I would say, for a quarterback. And even if the pocket does collapse a little bit, he does stick with the delivery no matter what, and he's made a lot of great throws this past season, which hence why he had 27 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Very dialed in, and he has a great field awareness. I guess it's a perk when you're one of the older prospects in the draft. And even when you look at the running plays, design runs and scrambles for him too. He has a great ball carrier vision, which is also really good. On top of all, his very good acceleration. Again, when the pocket does collapse and he has to run, he will get out of the pocket, no problem. Now, we look at the weaknesses for Hooker. The big question mark is, unfortunately, the ACL injury he suffered late into the season. As we all aware, as sports fans, ACLs are no joke, especially with the quarterback with the knee. That's going to be a huge red flag heading into the draft, and there's a lot of teams probably move them down the draft board just because of it. And on top of that, he'll be 25 when the NFL season starts, and, you know, obviously, when you look at rookies heading to the NFL, they're either 21, 22, sometimes 20. 25 is a little bit up there, and you're coming off an ACL injury, that's going to be a lot of questions. And the two combinations can hurt his draft stock a little bit, because when you have a young prospect who had an injury, there's still potential there. But at 25 years old, unfortunately, a lot of scouts and GMs kind of see as like 25, 26 being the peak of someone's NFL career. And I did say before in the strengths that the pocket, when it collapsed, he was able to get out of it, but the NFL is a whole different ballgame, and there were a little bit of moments here and there where we did kind of struggle with that. So hopefully he can develop into that heading into whatever team he gets drafted to. And when the pocket did collapse and he did have to throw on the move, there were some times that you saw he did struggle throwing on the run when he didn't really want to do that. And while I did praise his presence in the pocket and being patient, allowing receivers to develop their routes to get a good pass, sometimes when he had to throw last minute to overthrow, you saw it a lot of times there too if he had to throw too early. But when you get into the NFL, the game's a lot faster, and that might be a little bit of a problem for him. And the same thing goes when he was running the ball too. Sometimes when you saw him running, he took way too much contact, which you really don't want to see with a quarterback at the next level. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks take a lot of different contacts, they get a lot of injuries, and you really don't want that when you have an NFL quarterback. So if he can lay off a little bit, forcing too much contact on the run, it can definitely help him out in the future. But overall with Hooker, I'm a big fan of him. I think there's a lot of good potential with him there if he goes to the right spot, which we'll get to some of the teams that I think will be a perfect fit for him. But when you compare it to the other young prospects, the quarterback class and whatnot, you see guys with CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, for example, there's a lot of untapped potential there with those guys, and even Anthony Richardson. With guys like Hooker, you already kind of know what you're going to get with him. He can tweak on a few things here and there, but, you know, it's like the age comparison. And when you add on the injury, too, you kind of already know what you're going to get with Hooker. Looking at a couple of my favorite plays from Hooker's career, you see him up here against the Pittsburgh Panthers here. Staying in the pocket, really nice. Look at that nice throw there. It's a really sharp throw. You saw how he was able to stay patient when you saw the defensive line there collapsing. it was a really nice throw. The play that I liked here was against the University of Kentucky. Early in the first quarter here, you see him here lining up here, fake handoff, nice pocket presence waiting there, nice little long ball. The receiver was just wide open there. You can see that he lets the receivers develop, get a nice route, and get open, and Hooker has a great mindset to just wait for the perfect throw there. You just notice a lot of plays with Hooker. He has, again, I keep emphasizing it, nice, clean pocket presence, very patient, which can help a lot. You see here, too, against Missouri in the third quarter here, quick throw. He saw the man was open right away, and he got the long touchdown run from that. I can't tell you. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing what Hooker can do at the next level. I'll show you one of the plays from South Carolina in the game where he did tear his ACL. This was a few plays prior to it, so I can just show you here what it looks like. You see here the receiver motions on over here, snaps the ball, faces the receiver. Again, what do all these plays have in common? You see that he just stays in the pocket. Offensive line did a great job on all those plays. Stayed patient, waited for the receiver to get the open lane, and boom, nice tight spiral down the middle. Can't complain. I'm looking forward to seeing what Hooker can do at the next level. And I'll say it again and again and again because I'm a huge fan of him. Now, I said earlier that there were some teams I thought would be a best fit. I'll get to those in a second. I'll just do a quick little projection of where I think he would go. If not for the ACL tear, I would have said early second round and maybe late first, depending on the team that didn't need a quarterback right away. But now with the age and the injury, he's going to drop a lot, in my opinion. Honestly, late day 2 will be the earliest, I'd say. And then maybe early day 3. I think the latest, I'd say, day 3, fourth round would be like the latest he would go. I don't think he drops anywhere past the mid-4th round. I think maybe late 3rd round is like the perfect spot for him, depending on what team drafts him. And I got 3 teams that I think he'll do really well in. Number 3 for me, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know they have Kyle Trask and they signed Baker Mayfield, but Hooker, with the injury, you're not sure if he's going to be able to play right away. This is a good spot for him to develop behind there too. He can compete with Baker, and definitely maybe if he can get some action in the preseason, if he's cleared by then, who knows? Is Kyle Trask the answer for them long term? We're not sure. I mean, there's a reason why they signed Baker Mayfield. There's a reason why he didn't even get up to the second string behind Tom Brady. So maybe they're not too sure of it so far, but putting him on the Buccaneers, having him compete with Baker and Trask, and he doesn't have to play right away. He's got good targets like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to throw to. Yeah, I think it'd be a good spot for him. He can stay behind Baker for a year, or if he ends up winning the starting spot, can go right away. This is a good fit for him, I believe. Number 2, the Minnesota Vikings. Can you just imagine Hendon Hooker throwing to Justin Jefferson? My goodness. You saw what the receivers at Tennessee did. They were able to go through the lane, find the open spot, and Hooker was able to throw to him. Can you imagine if he had Jefferson to throw to? It'd be a lot quicker, and I don't think the pocket will be able to collapse as much because Hooker can just dart it to Jefferson right away. This would be a really good spot for him also. And much like with the Buccaneers, he wouldn't have to play right away. Kirk Cousins in his final year of his deal. They don't know what the future holds for Cousins. I doubt they're going to keep him around after the 2023 season. So why not draft his eventual replacement, Hooker, kind of develop him for the year, learn under Cousins, learn under Kevin O'Connell's offense? That wouldn't be a bad spot, and just him and Jefferson. And lastly, my number 1 team, and I really think this is the perfect fit for him, and that is the Detroit Lions. Similar to the Vikings situation, Jared Goff will be the starter for 2023. And listen, I like Goff, but I don't think he's the long-term answer for the Motor City. They have a very young team with a lot of potential. And you guys know that I love Dan Campbell, and I think him working with Hooker, that'll be a very good quarterback coach system. And again, much like the other 2 teams, Hooker might not even have to play right away. He can learn behind Goff for a year, learn that offense, and you put him in there in 2024, throw into Amon-Ra St. Brown. My goodness. And then we even forget Jameson Williams is there too. Just imagine that offense with those 2 receivers. I think Detroit will be a perfect fit for him. Now, you guys let me know what you think. Where do you think Hendon Hooker will end up going? What teams are the best fit for him? What do you like about Hooker? What do you not like about him? How right am I? How wrong am I? Probably wrong. I have no idea. And if you like this video, definitely consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Review and Preview channel if you haven't. We have a whole bunch of shows throughout the week, live shows, pro wrestling, baseball, NFL, we got it all. And we're doing a lot more draft prospect videos, so definitely check out the other ones if you haven't. We're going to be putting out a bunch in the next couple of weeks heading into the drafts because I am loving it. And no, this is not the last time you'll be seeing me. I might be doing a couple other draft prospect videos. Who knows? Which players will I talk about? Why don't you just stick around, subscribe to the channel so you know. And if you like my stuff outside of Review and Preview, you can check out my podcast, The Slick Back Kickback Report, where you get your podcast. You can follow my personal YouTube channel, Fonz DeFalco. Follow me on TikTok, Fonz DeFalco. I'd appreciate all the love, support. But follow Review and Preview stuff first, and then check your boy out on the side. And that wraps up for here for this video. I'm Fonz DeFalco signing off. Have a good day, good night, good evening, whenever you're watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.